Really exciting because it's a part of what we do with the coaching, what is needed to be of service. Hey Vina, there you are.
Hi.
And yeah, just a big part of the work that we do, mainly the work that we do in the coaching course is to help people get out of the way and then facilitate the changes that happens with that.
So let's explain shortly what it is to get out of the way. First, I want to ask you, the ones who are watching, if any of you and was participating in our free course, because then we were teaching about this. Just write in the comments if you participated or not, if this is familiar to you in any way.
Yeah, just write yes or no if you were a part of the live course or not, so that we have some kind of the free live course that we did 1 week ago in the comments, so we have an idea.
So what is it to be available?
To get out of the way. The same as being available, we often use the term available. Well, it really says itself, right? That it's not about you anymore, that you put your focus off of yourself and you start to focus outwardly. You start to pay attention to the person in front of you and whatever is needed there, instead of caring about even you being validated of being the person that helped them. Or there is many subtle layers to this where people can attach, where probably we are still attached and you are still attached to certain layers of where it becomes about you in subtle ways. And when you detach from them, so much awesome stuff happens, so much transformation results. So you wanted to share some of that inspiration today.
Yeah. So have you ever been in a conversation with a friend and you're talking for a bit and then your friend is talking for a bit, and then during the conversation you understand that your friend is not really listening to you? Your friend is actually interpreting what you're saying, or have their own opinion about what they think is really right for you, or they want to guide you in a way that you can feel that you're not sure you want to go. Like, have you ever had that experience, or had the experience of talking to a friend and just felt like, I know the answer to their problem? You want to help them and you just know how to fix their problem. It's so easy for you. You can just, as soon as they start speaking, you can just see the whole map right there. Like, you have to do this, you have to do that, and then you have to say that to your other friend, and then this and this and this, and you just know so well what their higher self should do or is saying. Does that sound familiar to anyone? It's familiar to me, at least.
It's a very predominant thing in the spiritual circle, that they then start to gloss these things in with all these spiritual concepts like higher self and oh, I really know what's best for you. And then you might actually start to get a sense of what is best for them. But when it's still mixed in with you, the personality, you'll notice it, because it has oh, I want to share, I want to get this across, I want to there's a pushiness to it and an urgency to it, which is just unnatural. And you can feel how it's not it wouldn't be a part of any organic flow, so to say.
So what we want to share about is this space of having time for your friend, or as we do it in work. So it's with the coaching client, but also the beauty of what happens when you're with a friend or with someone from your family or just another human being, and the connection that happens when you really listen, when you really, with curiosity, listen and ask and make space for their experience, and really take in over yourself their experience, making room both in time but also space for them to elaborate and to share and find your own curiosity on, asking especially open-ended questions which invites them to share more about their experience, and not this trying to fix them, trying to find the answer, but giving that space and seeing what happens and how they can find their own answers from that so clearly.
Nice. Nice. You just speak some more about that questions. The questions are like open-ended, like probing, going deeper into things. They're like future-oriented, positive, or they can be negative, but that's only in order to focus more on the positive. So it would be like, if it would be any negative focus in terms of focusing on trauma or anything like that, it would only be to bring it forward. It would only be to explode them out and yeah, become more of themselves.
So I had an experience. I was a few years ago. I found a friend who listened to me and asked me questions, and that was such an eye opener for me because I never really realized that I didn't listen, and I have never been listened to. And what happened in me was this flowering, and I can see that in my clients, and I can see that also with my friends and the connections that are happening now with this new approach. So what is happening then when you really, really listen without having in the back of your mind, I know the answer, or I want to fix, I want to help, or kind of jumping ahead in the conversation, but just really being there with what is actually being said, what is actually your friend's experience, and bringing in the curiosity also, like, oh, what did you feel when that happened, or how was that for you, how was your day today, how was it going in the shop buying milk, like what emotions did you have? It's like just really getting into the texture of your friend's experience with an open, just receiving them. And what you see happen so clearly is that they just open like a flower and relax, and you see their face, and you can almost hear their emotional body screaming like, oh my God, I'm being listened to. Now you're safe, you can relax. It's so amazing what comes out of this person, of this human being, when they're really being listened to. It's such a surprise, and it's such a beautiful experience, and we really want to just share it with you to experiment with a friend, and like making space, no judging, just receiving them fully. What is going on with you? Please share anything, and asking these questions and seeing how they open up and relax. And ultimately, their wisdom comes out. If you ask enough questions, in the end, they will know the answer if there was a problem.
And if they have a drive somewhere, they will like bring it back to that. They will bring it back to the attention point of what they really want to deal with. So you don't even have to take care of that. Take care of like the dealing with the issue, because they're the one that has an issue, and therefore they're the one that feeling the pain. Therefore that they're the one that wants to change. So if they want to change something, then they will bring that clearly into attention. They will like, you don't need to like engage with that.
And if they don't want to change, maybe they just want to share, and that was an amazing experience for them to be heard and seen. And suddenly you have a friend for life. You had like a real meeting there, without yourself meeting the thing that you think they are. In a way, it's like playing with, when we were kids, playing with Barbies. But now it's like you don't control both of them. You're just receiving and seeing.
Nice. Yeah, for me, it's been this thing lately, actually, which I realize now is pretty much deepening to this principle, which is just to not hold on to any opposition in interaction with people. It's kind of a deepening of this availability principle to just, or this getting out of the way, is that someone comes to me and they want something of me, you could say, like they're attracted to something by me and or with me that they want more of in themselves in some kind of way. And then from there, if I step into actively sort of being that personality or being that trait or being that thing or infusing that thing actively sort of with my consciousness into the conversation, into them, what actually happens more often than not, pretty much, I would say 95% of the time, is that when I do that consciously, they will actually take on the opposite point of view and resist. So even though they came to me like, oh, I want more of this, if I will give you more of this, then they will turn around. So it will suddenly become a chase. So like the effect seems to just be like almost immediate. It's like, even though it's a friend, even if it's someone that sort of feels safe with me and that seemingly love me and I seemingly love them, still it becomes this turnaround and like a chasing after two different opinions, two like polarities in the conversation. So then instead of doing this, what I have been experimenting with is just to like, okay, that obviously doesn't work. So what if I just drop that? And then I see so much that what they wanted to get from the interaction with me, they actually got totally by themselves. They already I'm already being that with the more fundamental part of my being, what they were asking for. That's already sort of transferred on a different level. And then on like a surface level, I don't need to like be me, you could say, or I don't need to strengthen my qualities even more. So I can just
Or
like,
they already have it within them. It's just like triggered out by inspiration.
yeah. And that principle seems to happen more efficiently, even if it's not put like force into. If there is no force in the picture and there is just organic meeting, organic, you could say non-judgmental meeting, but it even gets drawn further than that. It's like even though you would have a judgment, who are you to think that you know anything better than the other person?
Yeah, that's interesting, because let's go back to that. Let's come back to where are we coming from deeply. So there are some things we want to talk about today. It's like, where is this coming from? And then there are a few tricks that you can apply on top of that to make sure that you're coming from there. So from the deepest place in yourself, you want to come from a true place of non-insistence. But maybe you can elaborate on that, the one that I don't know.
Nice.
You could do like a small guided meditation on this.
That could be cool, yeah. And that's really just before we start. That's like the thing that I start up the whole teaching of this in the course. Before I teach the availability, before I open up even anything that has to do with the coaching teaching or the availability teaching, the service teaching, you could also call it, is to prepare people by breaking down the mind structure around that people think that they know better. At a fundamental level, thinking that they can know better than the other person what is good for them, because that sort of like opens up, that creates a crack and opens up that hard structure, so that they're suddenly now open to the approach that I want to teach them. Yeah, let's see, would that be something you guys would want, like a little meditation, or is it more interesting with like active engagement? Maybe you could write us in the comments. I have them here. If you would want like engagement and more like questions, or us to talk more around this, or if it would be good to deepen into, I don't know better.
Yeah, I just want to also, while you're answering yes or no, I just want to also say this about, someone was commenting, but some things are very good to say, like some things needs to come true, why not share them? And it's such a good that's such a good point. And my immediate question is, trust that it gets through. It gets through either energetically, it doesn't have to be said, or they already know it within themselves. Trust that they will find their way. And that's exactly what we're going into now, about me knowing best, trying to control the universe. It needs to be said. And maybe it comes out of your mouth, but it comes out of your mouth by grace, like from this available space. It comes just out of your mouth. It's not like, oh, this needs to be said because I know better. It doesn't, let me say it differently, it doesn't look any different. The availability practice and I need to tell them what's right. It could look exactly the same, but where it comes from and the impact it makes, so different. And the experiment is to say it from a deep knowing that, or like just knowing that they're okay just the way they are. You don't have to change. It's perfect, the process they're in. And if it comes out of your mouth, and just see how they react, if they receive it, if it is like this, or when it comes out of your mouth, maybe because I have to tell you and you should change because I want you to not have this pain anymore, because it's bad for you to have pain or confusion or whatever. And then see the impact it has. And maybe they kind of, oh yeah, you are right, but how can I do that? Or I'm not good enough because I feel this way. And just see how they receive it. And then you will see the reflection of yourself and where you're coming from. That's such a easy way to see where yourself are coming from, in mirroring in the reciprocant, how they react to your wisdom. Are they saying yes or
Nice.
no?
Yeah, they want active engagement. That's what I also kind of want. So that's good.
Okay, cool.
So not the meditation. Nice. Thanks for answering, guys.
Thank you.
What did I think about? Oh yeah. What I kind of want to encourage you to, this person asking if you want this stuff to come through, because I don't feel it's actually such a good question. Like, because it's like, oh, that's a good question because it's very often this or that. I feel it's very often that you shouldn't from that place. So in that way, it's not a good question. It's very one directional. Our advice to you. I just wanted to let you know, and that I would encourage you to, like, if you want to go this spiritual way of like seeing the higher self and like what is needed and all these things, then just like drag it all the way. So like Vina said now, then also see that everything is already perfect. Then also see that on a less verbal, less physical level, the stuff is already being transferred and the stuff is already resolving itself, and your body, mind, spirit expression complex is not needed as much as you think. The reason you want to be needed so much is probably because of some kind of self-worth thing or something in that area. And there is a lot of lack beliefs hiding in there, which you don't necessarily need to dig out or like clean out. You just need to find a different ways of doing them, and then they will drop by the wayside, sort of thing. So you don't even have to deal with the issues of that. Just like try something different out, and then you will see the results so much. So it's more of an affirmative approach, where it's just like, oh, this works so much better. Why should I ever go back?
Yeah,
That's
put the
how
focus
we
on
teach
where
the
you
people.
want. Yeah, put the focus on where you want to come from, and just come from there. And when you're not coming from there, you redirect. Oh, I thought I knew best again. Okay, and then you just turn back.
Nice. One other thing I want to mention is I call it like the final principle, which is that in order to like do the final tweak, for instance, let's say your wisdom, to bring your wisdom out there into the world, in order to really do that, and this applies in many areas, that's why I call it the principle, that is like in order to really get your wisdom out there, you need to like totally detach from wanting to get it out there or even trying to put it out there. So like, it's like, that's why we call this availability approach. We call it like unlocking your highest service potential. Even though it seemingly is deactivating your very active approach to trying to be of service. But you see how it's a trying, you see how you would naturally say, oh yeah, but I can't let go of like doing that. It's a doing, it's a trying, it's like a personhood thing, to where if you just relax and trust, then you can trust that urge is still there and the impulse is still there and that it still happens. You could say from a higher place or from like a more refined place in you.
So we often call it the ultimate empowerment, because the whole method we are teaching is about resting in yourself, that you have everything you need right here, right now. And in that also trusting that the other has everything they need right here and right now. And by resting in that, you automatically out in the other or in a group. and you are giving that power, or giving the possibility for them to have their sense of self, and finding also much clearer their true potential. Because you're not using all the time in being in these patterns. Because very often when you are in your conditioning patterns, then you trigger their patterns. Like Bo was just saying about, if I really want them to change, or I want to give them something, then they automatically go the opposite way. So a lot of time is spent just in these games. But if you stop the games, if you're just there, available, then there's so much more time for the other also to rest in that and like relax into that. And if you want to know more about this availability approach, we have this video out on YouTube now, where it's an hour about we talking about this to
it's
have
called
more background info.
It's in the Sandring's Coaching. It's called Sandring's Coaching YouTube channel, and it will only be available for like another week. Yeah, I could send the link here in the comments actually. We'll end the live soon, by the way. Thought we would keep it rather short today. And let me know if you guys have any questions that we could answer here now. Then bring them quick. And I will write in the comments the, what did I call it? Yeah, the link to the availability thing, which will only be available for another week on YouTube, because we are starting the coaching course in less than a week. And if some of you are interested in that, contact us about that. It's last minute, but we can still manage to get you in there if you really want to. And more information about it is on sandrings.com.
Sandrings.com. I will write it. I had planned to write it, but
and you guys can write back if you have any questions.
I thought it would be so cute to like do like this.
But it's backwards.
It's backwards now. I thought that would be so cute.
Yeah, so actually there is a free course of 4 sessions, and they will all be just up on the internet for a week, and there's sort of like a mini version or like a taster of the coaching course that we have. I would say a taster of the mini course that we have. So that's like a very good approach if you want to know more about this and test this more out in your own life. And it's longer, it takes a little bit more commitment than this, but it's still not like anything you have to pay for. It's a free course. But like I said, only available for a week, so use it now if you haven't seen it yet.
So before we go, I want to just share some quick practical things you can do to be sure, because in the bottom it should come from, wow, I really don't know best, and just realizing that you cannot control the universe. Something bigger is controlling everything. You might have had these situations where you were trying something so bad, but it just was not a chance it would work, and you would try 100 different ways, but the universe just decides not possible. Or something that you're really trying to avoid but is happening anyway. Or these moments where we just realize that I really have no control here, just take me, do whatever you want with me. So this needs to kind of be grokked, or be like in your experience. Probably most of you have this experience of, I can really not control anything. So resting from that, being in that. From there are some tricks. So number 1 would be to not use the I. Use the word I. And experiment with that. Just see how many times you're actually referring to yourself, like putting yourself into the conversation, and how to avoid that. Like, oh, I agree, or oh, I feel the same way, or I feel maybe you should do like this, or I think that's a good idea. You inserting yourself into the conversation, into the questions. How can you ask them more openly? Like, oh, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good idea? Or that's a yes/no question, but but like how would you feel about that, or what do you want to do about this, or how do you really want to feel, or yeah, there's 1,000, or what is this situation perfect for in your life, what's your biggest learning from this situation that happened, and not having the I, and just noticing every time you put the I, and then you can ask yourself also, like, why did I have to put myself in there? What was it? Like, just be like curious about that too. What was it that I wanted? Was it to be good enough? Was it to look smart? Was it to show myself? Was it to not? Maybe they are disagreeing like something, and then you need to put the I to show that I didn't mean it that way, you know. If they get a bit annoyed with your question or something, like, just be curious about yourself. Why did I really have to put myself in there?
And possibly what you'll find is that like sort of like a little bit painfully painful seeing that, like, oh shit, like it wasn't really needed, I guess. And yeah, I don't really know why I've been doing it so much up until this point. Nice.
Yeah. Another trick we also have, or another method to expand on this, is, like I've already said, the open-ended questions. That means not yes or no questions, because that kind of shuts the energy, you know, when you're asking your friend, are you feeling good? And they say yes, and then the conversation stops. If they're not very chatty, you know, you always have some clam friends that are closing really up. So if you want to open them, you need to be clever with your questions. And the open-ended questions always starts with how, why,
When,
who.
yeah, but it's often like what,
Yeah.
or
Which.
yeah, or how, questions like that.
And why.
It's very useful. So that's where you can put more of your attention and more of your energy into, is to like how you cleverly could assert yourself, and then try to pick words and try to pick angles to where you notice that you're not guiding the conversation, to where you are just, or you're not like directing the conversation. Like you could be guiding in the way of like, you can be like, how to say that, walking beside them, but not guiding as like being the leading force or the driving force or the.
You're not one step ahead of them.
Nice.
You know, sometimes people say be one step ahead. Well, we're saying don't be one step ahead.
You say like, oh, where do you want to walk the next step? And and then they're like, oh, I took one step myself. And like that, it's just, that's the awesome thing about this, because it's just like, oh, like suddenly you see that you don't have to be involved, and they get so much out of it, and they love it, and they will feel so much more heard, validated, come so much further in their progress. Like what happens in this coaching course is just insane. How people are like, we give them 10 minutes to like coach each other, and we have educated them for like 4 hours altogether, and then they get 10 minutes to coach each other on a topic. And within those 10 minutes, it's just like you can come further than the conversation usually does in 1.5 hours, literally, within those 10 minutes. And this has happened continuously, that like pretty much in every 10 minutes, you make a solid step forward. 10 minutes with any topic, with any person. So not who has something to work on that's really burning. No, everyone gets 10 minutes with any other person. In a group of 17 people, every single conversation went one step forward, progressed themselves, got more enlightened, you could say, more free, more relaxed, more themselves, more close to what they want.
More clarity.
That's the bulletproof type of like, yeah, that's why I'm spreading this, because it's like you can't miss, it seems, because like literally Yeah, literally 17 people on 17 different other people. Some of them even a little bit stubborn and not wanting to work on themselves when they first come in the course, not wanting to look backwards. And then still, it's a progression, because you can always ask a question even about that. Oh, why does it seem like this conversation? why is this showing up? Why is this thing here? And then again, be careful. Don't say, why are you resistant to this? It's like, oh, what is this? Like, what is this that's happening? It's like, oh, it's like open-handed. It's like, oh, like curious little child, not very human and dense and persuasive. And
So, yeah, that brings me actually to my next point, which is very good that you bring up, because my next point is curiosity. That's how you really can open them up. So what can be a really helpful thing that we often say is, pretend you're an alien that comes to Earth and you don't know all the rules, you don't know all the should and shouldn't, or what is
the
possible and what's
conditioning.
impossible. Yeah, and be guided by that pure curiosity, non-judgmental curiosity, like he's sharing now, because that's also what's opening the other one up. If you have your preset of what is bad and what is good, and asking with that, like, why are you doing that? But more like, oh, they're doing maybe something super smart, like, why are you doing that? Like, wow, why? Or what is that going to bring you? With real curiosity, you don't know. But if you already are one step ahead, thinking it's going to bring them misery and pain and it's the wrong thing, then that will come true. Even though you pretend that your tone is, oh, why are you doing that? But it's there. The insistence is there behind. So that's an extremely crucial point. And a technique to do that is like, pretend you're an alien. Pretend that, or just be sure to know that if you always thought that eating candy brings you stomach ache, period, that's it, or eating candy makes you fat, and if you come with even that insistence and they say, I ate candy all day, and you say, why would you do that? You know?
Yeah, your stubborn beliefs really comes through in the conversation, like subtle, at least energetic ways, if you don't notice it physically. I'm happy that you bring this up, the alien coaching, because no one else has been speaking about it. So I'm happy that you have picked it up now. I'm wondering if it makes sense to you guys as well, because it's like, it's where you open up all the assumptions. It's like where you open up all the assumptions that normally very stagnant. So yeah, I just wanted to know if you guys get it, but I guess it makes sense. I hope it makes sense.
Or a child.
Yep.
Could be a
Could be
child
an addict.
also. But just to help yourself, like, am I a child or am I an old teacher? Like this. So I would say in this approach, I would really say, do you dare to be useless? Do you dare to not be needed? Like really not be needed in the conversation? Because in that, really knowing that you are not needed, then you will allow the other person to find things for themselves. Because it's often in a conversation I can see myself wanting to be helpful and for the other to be great, like that it meant something, the conversation, that I did something, that I made a difference, that it wasn't a waste of time, or like I want to be needed. But do you dare to not be needed? And in that, give the opportunity for your friend to shine and to rise and to see their own wisdom and their own, that they don't need to find it out there. I'm doing it wrong, I want to do it in that way, like you, because you are so smart and you know the answer.
It might be very charming, to give someone advice, to give someone like what they need, to give them the next step instead of letting them take it themselves. That's why we do it so often, because we miss that validation so much ourselves, even if we even do the right thing ourselves. So then if we can help someone else do the right thing, or do the right thing for someone, almost, we want that so much. What can make this easier though is just to start. That's why we say this basic thing is just to start opening it up, because then you will see the amazing benefit it brings. And most of you out there that are my friends are have purified yourself and are like wanting to be of service to other people. So then seeing what gets called out, seeing what happens in the other, and how much you get what you want from that. In that contrast, then it's easier to let go of you having to be the person that does it, because it gives you everything else you want. Like, it gives you everything you want except for maybe that little things. It's like a little cringe, but together with all that goodness, it's like the package deal is amazing. So yeah, that just makes it easier to let go of the conditioning in there too, and you don't have to like, oh, can I really let go of that? I'm not sure if I want to start. No, it's like, oh, try it out, and then the lack beliefs will come up, and they will be like, oh, okay, oh yeah, I guess I would want to have that, but this makes so much more sense. So yeah, you'll just naturally start to do that when you see it makes more sense. But it does take some integration, and it's like, that's why we have a 4-month course, because people are like, in a way, pretty stubborn to integrate this in all areas. But when you're here with us now, you have some incentive. So the more you can just try it out, however more areas you can try it out in, just even though it's a very small thing, just open it up slightly more.
And in work situations, if you're working a normal job and have your hired people, or if you're a boss or whatever, this method is so valuable in all aspects of your life that has to do with humans. Family, friends, people you have like history with of where things are set. And just allowing for a true meeting, and it's so exciting to really.
The biggest unexpected positive side effect I've had with teaching people to coach is that they just naturally start to implement this with their parents and their family and things like this. And then it's harder to be open, but the little openness you can get in there just feels so relieving and brings so much more openness and so much more meeting. And finally you get to know. I had this too, like, well, finally I can get to know like my mother. I can ask her questions and get to know her. It's like real meeting can finally happen.
Yeah, it's like you're getting out of your own head, out of your own assumptions, and out of your own assumptions about the other, and like really meet this person. Like, wow, who are you? I've been talking to you a million times, but I've always been projecting my own stuff onto you, or my own opinion, and we've been like talking like this, but to really like travel into their world with open eyes and just looking, just sensing their inner world.
Nice. Yes, that could probably be the thing if you've stayed in one job for a longer time also, if you're in that demographic, to then implement it in your job interrelations could probably be very beneficial as well.
But we are way over time now. We love talking about this so much, so we can't stop. If you want to know more about this, go to our YouTube channel, go to our Facebook page, or contact us.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of content out now on our YouTube channel. I'll again send that first session as well as our YouTube channel in the comments so you guys can see it.
And look out for more live streams coming.
Yeah,
at least twice a month.
Yeah, we'll probably have one every other week. I'll announce them probably the day before or something like that.
The next time it will be on the coaching, Sandring's facilitation and coaching page.
That's an important point. Yeah, so now I have it on my personal page, Bo Sandring Store, and where it will be the next time is Sandring Coaching and Facilitation.
So just be sure to go in and like that page. Yeah. And we will share it here also after. So we will see you again. Contact us if there's anything you're wondering about. We love to have you write to us or message us.
Yeah, we love to receive feedback from people and hearing how the integration of stuff is going.
And questions awesome. Or doubts or anything.
Nice. Thanks, you guys. Nice you were here.
Bye.
Bye.